Greetings. Welcome to NASCAR America Debrief. I'm Nate Ryan here with Kyle Petty, Marty Snyder. Be taking your phone calls and comments. You can go on that little comment box as you're watching here on our Motorsports NBC YouTube channel. Just put comments. I'll be monitoring those there. But I think we're going to start here with the phones. We've got a lot of calls left over from NASCAR America Motor Mouths. So we're going to start with Steve. Steve, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief. What you got?
Thanks, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Kyle, I had the chance to meet you back in Lancaster, PA last year, so I just want to wish you good luck on your 25th anniversary for your charity ride. So
thank you, sir. Have
fun with that. And what are the chances that one of the Stewart-Haas cars is going to win this race this weekend? I mean, can they finally get everything turned around and get a win?
I think so. I mean, look, if we, yes, can they turn around stuff? Yes. We're watching this piece of footage here from last year, so if they go back and they're anywhere close to that. But again, I do believe they've got a good speedway program. I think Penske does. They're in a Ford. I think Ford's been the dominant car on speedway races.
7 straight wins at Talladega.
Yeah, Talladega. So you've got to say, yes, they can turn things around.
It's hard to break up that group, and certainly they know what they're doing when it comes to this game. But I think, again, it goes back to what we were saying on NASCAR America, Kyle. None of us know what to expect this weekend.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that we're getting questions about what's wrong with SHR when, I mean, they're not having a horrible year. I mean, Clint Boyer almost won Richmond, and Harvick has been consistent. So, but
we just don't have the Harvick that we had last year.
Exactly.
And they'll be fine when it comes to the playoffs.
That's where it stands out. Let's go back to the phones and talk to Richard. Richard, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings.
Hey, I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky. I went to high school with Darrell Waltrip. And I want to ask you guys, did you get some New York designer to advise you about those plaid shirts, or did you just choose to look like hillbillies?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's exactly right, man.
Them's fighting words, Richard.
What are you talking about? You don't like plaid, man?
Plaid looks great.
No, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just saying, clean up your act, man. Clean it up.
Listen, you can't insult us because we're getting ready to drop you. Next caller, please.
That's how you do it. It is your TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
Even when it's on the internet.
Now that Richard has derailed us on
Richard did derail us. I got a text.
Phone calls. Let's go to YouTube for a question. Justin Williams wants to know, Kyle, what is your greatest moment on a restrictor plate track?
Oh, I don't have one. Man, I don't know.
It's not true. You were,
I don't know,
you were the best car in the Daytona 500.
I was never a fan of restrictor plates. And I don't think I was a fan of restrictor plates because when I started, we didn't have plates. So I ran for the first 5, 6, 7 years without plates. You know what I mean? So you just got used to racing.
88 was the first plate race, so you were racing before then. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got used to racing without them, and that was a different kind of racing. So I never really adjusted. So I can't say that I ever had a good plate race.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Played at the K&W. That was about the best. That's cafeteria for you that don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Let's take one more from YouTube. Jason Baxter wants to know, will Hendrick win a race anytime soon? Marty, I know we were talking about that in NASCAR America. I mean, Chevy in danger of going 10 races into the season without a win for the first time since 1971.
Which would be crazy to think that. And Hendrick Motorsports certainly, could be very good this weekend. They put a lot of effort into these restrictor plate races. But Kevin Harvick also said something interesting on his radio show today. He said, I don't want a Chevy pushing me at any point. He said, because their noses are pointed like that. He said, if they make a move or I make a move, it goes the opposite way of what you want it to. And he said, that's why the wrecks are happening.
Right.
So he said, I don't want a Chevy anywhere near me if I can help it at the end of the race. So, and it's an interesting point because the Camaro nose does come to a little bit of a point.
Yeah.
And you have those flat bumpers on the cars now. That could be very interesting. But listen, is this Hendrick Motorsports' best chance? Maybe.
Yeah.
I think, mile and a half track, I don't know if it's going to happen at a mile and a half track, Kyle.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't listen.
We don't know what to expect.
I got to read the redacted Mueller report to see what the Russians had to say about it, and then I'll get back to you on it.
Okay.
Oh, Kyle.
Conspiracy theories abound.
Yes, I'm sorry.
About Hendrick's chances of winning a race. Let's go back to the phones and talk to Paul. Paul, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Thank you very much. Hey, I love your plaid shirts. And look out for Talladega this weekend. We're going to have some speed without the restrictor plates.
I think
so too, man. I think speed is going to be the word.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised.
I do too. It's scary fast.
I think speed's going to be the word if they don't come in and slow them down a little bit.
I had one crew chief tell me they fully expect I don't know what you would change, like a tapered spacer change in the middle of the weekend.
Who knows?
They fully expect that Saturday because they think they're going to see the drafting speeds are going to be.
We've seen them do that before. We've seen them change plate sizes before.
They did it last year. There was the big rollover crash Friday practice with McMurray, or was it Newman? Newman or McMurray?
Newman was in it.
McMurray's and so they made what was then they just changed the holes, size of the holes, and now so how will they do that with the spacer? They'll just change the width.
I don't know if they'll change the tape. Obviously, if it's tape, I've not seen one, so I can't answer that.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I mean, they look similar to a plate, right?
Yeah.
So,
but it's like a cone, and it's like a. Never mind. I'm not gonna draw. I'm not gonna
draw us a diagram.
Drawing. Oh, I like drawing. Come on, man.
Gracious.
Come on.
Let's go back to the phone. CJ, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Kyle.
Yes.
Yeah, Kyle, I just wanted to say we're looking forward to meeting you in Seattle and going on the ride this year, and wanted to make sure people come out and see us because we're going to be making, as you well know, a lot of miles. And I just wanted to say,
Who is this, CJ?
CJ.
Yeah,
CJ, what's up, man?
From South Carolina.
CJ, I recognize your voice, dude. Yeah, can't wait to see you guys out there. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun this year. Long road, long days, man. So y'all get ready. All right.
Yeah, he is trekking from
Maury and I
South
loaded the
Carolina to
bikes on
Washington?
Monday, so they're already heading that way.
Yeah, CJ rides with us every year. So
That is awesome.
yeah. So thank you very much, CJ. Thanks for calling, man.
He loaded the bikes on.
Yeah, I know. He's been working with Maury and them over at Tilly Harley Davidson, loading these things up, getting them ready. Thanks, man.
Thanks, CJ, for the phone
You
call.
always impress me with the ride. It just seems to. It doesn't get bigger every year, but it seems like there's a lot of attention
Listen,
around.
I don't impress you. Morgan impresses you because she organizes everything. So there we have it. I just
Bruce
ride. My
comes out.
wife organizes everything. Yes.
Christian on the YouTube channel has a question. What's the maximum speed of a Cup car without any restrictions?
It's a great question.
Man, that's a
We
great
don't really
question.
know, but
I have no idea. You know, and if we go back to when Bill ran 212, you know, golly, man, you were still 220 or something at the end of the backstretch, maybe a little bit more than that.
Didn't Rusty Wallace do an unrestricted
he did, like
test? And
close to 230,
233 or
Yeah.
something like
top
that.
speed or just a.
But that was a while ago, so I think we would.
Or was that an average lap?
I think that was. I think it was top speed.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, even at 212, the lap times at Talladega at that time, the top speed was faster than 212. You know what I'm saying? Because you go in and scrub off speed in the corner.
What were those qualifying laps like, Kyle? Because it was brave,
crazy,
right,
dude.
to lay down the spoiler. Or was that
Talladega
what it was?
wasn't. Honestly, Talladega wasn't bad. At Daytona, you would throw up in a garbage can, then get in the car, and then you would go out and run,
real?
and then you would you'd see guys throw up, getting ready to go qualify because you didn't think you were going to come back, and a lot of people didn't come back. You know what I mean? Or they came back on the hook. It was crazy then. It was a crazy time.
Came back with a destroyed race car.
I mean, we know why NASCAR uses now the spacers before the plates. They need to maintain some semblance of order on the speeds where they're below probably, 205, I think is like the magic number where they go airborne. So.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I don't know if there's a magic number for going airborne. I mean, I think that's that NASCAR myth that they throw out there because planes will take off at 50 miles an hour. You know what I mean? If you've got the right aero package, it doesn't make any difference. But the thing is, you got to remember that when they went there in '69 and they had the boycott, they were 200-mile-an-hour laps.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
I did not know that.
They were 200-mile-an-hour with 427 horsepower.
Right.
That's all those. A 427, a Hemi only had like 420 or 30 horsepower. It wasn't 850 horsepower like we have unrestricted now. And it wasn't the aero package that we have now. So they were running 200 when they first opened this place. So they've always hovered in that 200, 205, 210, in that range forever down there.
Yeah. Would drivers be as comfortable, do you think, running that much faster? I mean, do you notice the sensation of speed changing that much when it goes from 190?
You know, if you don't have a stopwatch, you can't physically tell the difference in a car running 195 and a car running 205. You just can't see 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. You know, and it's like we were talking earlier in the other show about relative speed. When everybody's running 200 and you're running 201 and you just creep by somebody, it looks like, man, they're moving really slow. But you don't know. And listen, it's a stupid saying. you only notice it when you hit something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And honestly, I know that's a stupid saying,
actually,
but
it makes a lot of
yes,
sense.
that's when you notice the
sense.
difference in the speed, and that is why the speeds, it's better to control. It's easier to control.
Right.
A little bit less.
Right. Michael has a Talladega question on the phone. Michael, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Hey, hi. My question is for Kyle and Nate. Who do you think is going to win between Keselowski and Logano?
I don't know.
Right.
No, I think Brad, they're both, here's the thing. They both study films. They both watch what other drivers do. They have a book on every driver, it seems like these two guys do. And they know what a driver does in a certain situation. We saw Brad and Motor Mouse. We saw, you talked about it, him dumping Kyle Busch in the corner. Where did he learn that at? He learned it from watching films. He learned it from understanding what the air does, what his car does, what things do. I think these guys are fairly equal in equal cars. I have to give the nod to Brad a little bit because Brad's been the guy who really took that part of the sport and kind of said, I'm going to be perfect at this. I'm going to do it. And he learned it and did it before anybody else did it.
Hey, Marty, do you have a pick there between the two Penske drivers? Who's better?
Pick between them, but they're both very aggressive, and to me, that's the formula for being good at restrictor plate races right now. You know, and Dale Jr. talks about it all the time. You got to be willing to run up front. You got to be willing to dictate the pace of the race, and they're both very good at getting themselves to the front.
Yeah.
But the more important thing of that, I think Brad is excellent at keeping himself in the front, blocking the packs. And an interesting thing in the Brad situation is, he changed spotters in the offseason. He doesn't have Joey Meyer any longer. He has Coleman Presley, who's a great young spotter. But have they developed enough of a rapport at the restrictor plate races? And remember, he only ran, half of the Daytona 500 when he got in the wreck?
Right.
So I don't know if they have that rapport that he and Joey Meyer may have.
So Keselowski and Logano have been dominant here for about 5 or 6 years, pretty much since Logano arrived there at 13. Penske has been the plate team to beat. Why aren't other drivers just mimicking what they're doing? Like, why can't they just figure out,
have the car to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question, and I don't know because I don't believe even when we've seen Blaney get to the front, he can't mimic.
Right.
He can't do it, and he's in the same stuff they are. And I just think that it is, and I think it's two things. And I think this is something that Earnhardt Sr. had, that Junior had, that good restrictor plate drivers have. It's a feel. It's a touch. It's a soft hands. Okay, they've got soft hands. They feel it in the steering wheel. They feel it in their butt. They feel the car move. They know where it needs to be to get it there. They don't just drive through and power through that place wherever it is. So they understand it a little bit more. They understand, I'm looking in the mirror. I know I need to go now to this lane. Or I know I need. How many times have we seen guys, Eric Almirola at Daytona, waits too late to block, and he ends up on the horn of the 3 car, and everybody blames Dylan. Not Dylan's fault. It was a late block. In my opinion, it was just a late block. Brad, that would have never happened to Brad or Joey. They would have been there. They anticipated.
And I think in today's day and age, a lot of that is spotter, and I really believe that. I think TJ Majors is fantastic at this game. Fantastic.
So much success with Dale Jr.
And I think he understands, and I know we've talked about this in NASCAR America, the energy of the pack, the ebb and flow of the pack. So anymore, if you're a spotter and you're spotting for your car, you're not watching. You're kind of watching your car. You're watching back here. You're watching what's happening behind your car because you want to see where the energy's coming from, where you can block that energy, where you can take advantage of that energy. I listened to Myatt, my son, running Talladega last year. Brett Griffin is his spotter. He was outstanding. Just go here, you'll block that, and that's so key in the restrictor plate racing game today. And it may not have been back in the day, Kyle, but I think today it's vital.
But you could see out of your car back in the day too. These guys can't see out of their cars.
Right.
I mean, you just can't. I'm sorry, you're in a blind spot.
Let's back to the phones. Gage is on NASCAR America Debrief. Gage, what you got?
What Cup driver do you think is going to get the most wins in 2019, Marty?
I would say Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
I think that one's
It's off to a good start.
fairly easy, in my opinion. I mean, look at the start he's got, right? How can you argue it's going to be anyone but Kyle Busch? And I don't see, Kyle, that momentum slowing down for that 18 team either.
No.
And they are traditionally a team that builds into the playoffs as well.
Yeah, and I'll say the Gibbs organization is traditionally a team that, as the year gets going, they roll stronger.
Right.
Yeah. We're in their weak period right now, and in their weak period, they're winning races.
And you think in his mind he's given away 2 races.
Yeah.
in his mind.
Yes.
So he should have 2 more wins than he has. So I think Kyle Busch is a fairly easy one on that front.
All right, let's go to YouTube and bring up the dreaded concept of tandem drafting from Alec Martinez. He wants to know, 1, what's the we talked a little about this on Motor Mouse. What's the possibility of it happening? And 2, who would you want to be teamed up with if it does happen? Like which drivers would you want to be paired with if you had to make the tandem draft for a pass or something like that for a few laps?
You know what? I think if you look, you just go back to the same guys. You go back to Brad Kay and Joey Logano and those guys who, when they had tandem racing, made it work for them. You know what I mean? I'd pick Junior. Junior helped Jimmy.
Junior helped Jimmy quite a bit.
And then Jimmy never paid Junior back. I never helped him. That's for all you Junior fans out there that still hate Jimmy Johnson. I hear you. I hear you. I feel you. But I just think it's the same guys. You know what I mean? Because they understand what's going on. That one car becomes, or 2 cars become 1 car, and they understand that, and they understand where they need to be.
I think Harvick's point was that it could be a factor this weekend, maybe to finish passes, but you can't. Remember how they would stay linked up? This is what you hated, for laps.
Yeah,
laps. Yeah, they can't do that now because the way the car's cool, it won't cool down quick enough. But it could be effective because if you're just tandem drafting with someone, it's easier to peek out. Easier to pick out. Maybe you swap, whatever, and then you can cool your car down. So that it could be a factor this weekend, much to your chagrin.
All right. I mean, my problem with it is that, like the subjugation of like, okay, one guy is just going to be inferior to the other guy. I think my favorite line about it was Monty Dutton once wrote, I can't wait to see which 2 cars are going to win the Daytona 500. But that's not the way NASCAR should be, in my opinion.
No, and you're exactly right, because here's what teased me off about that. Is it's not individuals.
Right.
Okay. And that's what teed me off about Daytona when I found out that Toyota and these guys, it's not team racing. I'm sorry. It used to be best team, best driver goes and wins. Okay. But now you have an organization that has 4 drivers with the same kind of cars and I mean, it's just so it's all changed, but it drives me crazy. I didn't say you didn't have to play the game. I didn't say you don't play the game. That's not what I'm saying. I said it drives me crazy. I just don't like that part of the sport right now.
As long as we don't get to the zenith of tandem drafting, which was when drivers had the dial on their dash and they had about 20 radios.
Oh yeah,
they could talk to each other. Remember that?
Oh, I do remember that. I do remember that.
That did get interesting.
That was interesting.
That did get interesting.
It was like being on a party phone line. Speaking of phones, we have 1 call left. Let's go to Josh. Josh, welcome to NASCAR America Debrief.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Good, Josh.
Man. All right, well, I was just asking Kyle Petty, what was it like when you got in the car in '98 for Dale Earnhardt after that big wreck? And how did that come about? And as a fellow long hair, why don't you let the hair down?
No, can't do that, man. Can't do that. Okay, here's what happened. Here's what happened is I think he got hurt. I think he was burnt.
Something like that.
Something, anyhow, he left. And the thing is if you go back to that period of time, I was really good friends with Will and Chocolate and David and
Chocolate Myers, David Smith,
Danny Lawrence, all those guys, everybody. So it's like this thing's torn up. They couldn't get anybody, so they come over and they said, "You want to just get in it and run some laps because we're just trying to." And understand it was all about points then. So the point was, all you really needed to do was go out and run a few laps and get ahead of everybody that was in your crash.
Drivers,
That was it. And then you would hang out, and if somebody else got fixed and they went out, you just go out and run lap times with them. There was no minimum speed. You could go back out and run. I mean, there were so many things that were so different then that you
Was there a part of you that's like, this is cool, I'm in 3 cars, this is great? None of it. None of it.
Didn't phase you.
No. Look, I know y'all find this hard to believe, but I drove the 43 car too.
I know that, but I'm saying,
you know what I mean? No,
you might be the only person who drove the 43.
You can put that on your resume, right? Like 43-3. I drove all of them.
Listen. Here's the one thing. Here's the one thing you got to remember that, and all race car drivers will tell you the same thing. You can't see the color and you can't see the number.
I understand that.
You just can't. It's just another race car.
I just can't believe there's not a piece of you that went, this is cool, and then you climbed in.
No, it's just, what? It didn't have a number on it hardly. Did you see the footage of it?
I did.
That was crazy.
Had a number on the other side.
Yeah, on the other side.
All right, well, those great stories are the reason you tuned in to NASCAR America Debrief. We appreciate you watching. Thanks for all your comments, all the phone calls, and we'll see you next time.